Well, Joe Johnson gave me something to talk about in September, so that's cool. He's also just gotten himself back into the NBA and potentially messed up Michael Beasley's last run in the league, but that's whatever. So ISO Joe is on the Pistons, joining Derrick Rose, Blake Griffin, Drummond, Reggie Jackson, Luke Kennard, and whoever else. How much of an impact can Joe Johnson make at this point? A year removed from the NBA, balls out in the Big Three and all that. Well, while I am of course happy for the dude, and he definitely showed out in the 3-on-3 stuff, we do have to look at his last season in the NBA. It was not good. He shot below 30% from 3, and I think that's his make it or break it thing at this point. I understand the nickname of ISO Joe, but I don't really expect him to be breaking down NBA defenders consistently like that. Now, can he bust it out every now and then? Sure. Could play in the pick and roll. I mean, Drummond and Blake set pretty good screens, and if Joe can move, then you think that could lead to some pull-up jumpers and things like that. But I really think a lot of it's just going to come down to, can he make threes? I would like to think that Joe Johnson, at almost 40 years old, can make open and occasionally contested three-pointers. And honestly, that might be like kind of a thing the Pistons need. I mean, I feel like a lot of their shooting was coming from hoping that Luke Kennard will just make shots, and there's reason to believe he can. He was really good in the playoffs. So now with Joe, I mean, I don't think he's going to start, but that's just another dude who can actually shoot for them, right? And that can always be a big impact thing. I mean, you look at Reggie Bullock and the impact that he made for the Pistons whenever he was actually healthy and they started him. It was kind of crazy, and you wouldn't think that for a dude who isn't even in the top tier of 3-and-D guys. Like, Reggie Bullock is a serviceable dude, right? So if Joe Johnson can just be that, then again, there's a chance that he could really be a positive piece for this team. I think there's also some potential of him playing power forward. I don't know against every team, but in certain lineups that would be interesting, and that could open up some more opportunities for Blake to play center, which I think would be really interesting. Blake, he's not Draymond defensively or anything, but it just gives you other options. Now, whether Dwayne Casey is creative enough to explore those options is a different thing, but it does at least open that up a little bit. And I guess the absolute best shooting lineup this Pistons team can have is, I guess, going to be, if Derrick Rose continues what he did a year ago as a shooter, then that is that. I mean, Reggie Jackson's shooting has never been too crazy. I mean, he was, actually Reggie Jackson might be a safer pick than D Rose, because Reggie, at least like 2 of his last 3 years from 3 have been all right, whereas Derrick Rose just had like a 3-point revelation, and there's a chance that he just falls back down to earth a little bit with that. Now, Derrick Rose might still be better than Reggie Jackson, but in terms of just sheer shooting, take your pick with one of those two. Kennard's got to be in there if Joe can make shots. And then, maybe Markieff Morris and then Blake at center if you want to go to that again. Or you can just have all that shooting surrounding Drummond at the 5, which could be something. There's also Shfee McCulloch, who we hope can shoot. He wasn't able to show out that much for the Lakers because, LeBron win now mode, all that stuff, but he'll have a chance here. Markieff Morris is here, and maybe he'll make some shots. So, there's a chance the Pistons shooting is kind of a thing if Joe Johnson can really make shots. I mean, they still don't have a great perimeter talent, but I guess if the combination of D Rose and Reggie can do enough off the dribble, if Kennard can have a season and then Joe Johnson can just fit into that and make shots and have buckets created for him, he'll definitely have some created for him by Blake, of course. then that could be pretty good. Now, if we're talking Joe Johnson's defense, I mean, I don't think this team projects to be that great defensively anyway, but I mean, they could certainly go at him. You're going to have to pick and choose who he's defending, I would guess. His size is going to help him, of course, but the dude's just not going to have that agility to really chase guys around the floor and things like that. So yeah, I think I'm good on Joe Johnson. I do want to talk about the big three thing a little bit more. Is there a chance that this could be a trend, like guys getting back into the NBA off of the big three? I don't know. I mean, you look at a guy like Amari Stoudemire. Obviously, like, health is a big thing with him, but he was in the big three tournament, and is it possible if a team just saw him be willing to do all the dirty work and not worry about scoring, and they could use the big three to, like, see that he's still solidly athletic? I guess that's a possibility. I think those are the only real chances, are guys who just kind of fell out of the NBA, but they're only like a year or two removed. I don't picture some dude we've never heard of walking onto the big three and getting a chance at the NBA. I don't think that's ever going to happen, but, you know, there could be cases like Joe Johnson, or I'm trying to think of another player who this could apply to at some point. I don't know. I can't really think of one. It would have to be a guy who was respected throughout his NBA career. Like, I don't think it would be... Like, if Michael Beasley balled out in the big three next year, I don't think that would really convince teams. So, yeah, I don't know. The big three is definitely interesting. It certainly has enough influence to get a former player to back into the NBA. So, yeah, there's Joe Johnson for you. It's a cool story. I really hope people aren't expecting him to walk in and, like, bust out ISO moves and make contested shots and step backs and score like 15 a game. That's not going to happen, but he can still be a nice piece to this Pistons team.